Enoch, I was at one university talking to these boys and girls. Then happened to interact with one guy. So I asked him, after doing this course that you're doing, what next? Within 5 years, why do you see yourself being? Why do you see yourself being? You know what he told me? He told me, my dad told me to finish this course. Then after graduating, he will see what he can do for me. Then I saw your dad will see what you can do for you. Then I interacted with the other boy. Dad told me after this degree, he will take me abroad, do my master's, and I'll start from there. So after your master's abroad, what next? He doesn't know. So we have in a generation where most of the youth, okay, not all, but some have been pampered, but maybe because our parents lacked, so since they have gotten, they want their kids to have it all, but are not doing it the right way or mentoring them. So they are lacking that mentorship and that inspiration to show them the right directions to take, regardless the all resources that they are having. And I believe that's why most boys complain that I can't get a girlfriend. These girls need older men. I think it's because we don't have a vision and no mission. You don't know where you're headed. So there's no way that person who expects you to dominate the relationship come into your life when you personally don't know where you're going. Because I believe in a philosophy that if you don't know where you're headed, then you don't know who is in the right path to move with you. Because you personally don't know your vision. So whom can you going to put in the same vision which you don't have to work with you? So Enoch, tell us, how do these boys build vision, have a purposeful life, so that we can create a better generation for the young men?
That's a very interesting question, but I was to say thank you for inviting me and making me sit with the men like Kazora and Frank. I think what you're touching on is really one of the reasons as to why you can't tangibly trace intergenerational wealth in like in African countries. I mean, in the African families. I grew up in a family, and I was fortunate enough to be taken to school very early. But my father valued so much cows that it reached a point where it was hard for him to sell a cow to send me to school. So for him, paying my tuition was by selling a cow was equal to wastage. And that's how I was fortunate that during that time, as a very curious kid, from a very young age, I liked to ask questions. And I performed well. I kind of had an enlightenment that, this is going to be a struggle moving forward. The mere fact that I was in school, that was the opportunity that I needed to use. So I would move 7 miles from my home, run every morning to school, but when I reached school, school was school. And I became an excellent student. Then my teachers really fell in love with me, and they started to support me. They connected me to people who would support my education. Then later I got someone that I when I go back in my memory lane, I call a mentor. So most of the times what we have seen is that we live between the present and the past. I have my past and the present now, the things I'm trying to create. So as I try to create the present and the future, I tend to go back in my past. So literally, even when I'm focused on creating the future, I'm really still going back and integrating the past in the future and the present life that I'm living. So some young people, yes, grow up in well-to-do families, but we have a common saying here. I suffered a lot I don't want my children to suffer. They need to sit. Now these days we have Netflix, video games, we have cartoons on TV, and then we have Cafe Javas. So we want our kids to leave school, come home, watch cartoons, video games, order Cafe Javas. That is life. The modern parent nowadays, if a kid is living that life, then they are successful, and the parent starts to have a connotation of a well-lived life. But we are really missing, such parents end up realizing very late that they do not prepare the children to really handle life, to navigate life's challenges when they are gone, when they go out of the picture. So what we have seen is children who just the wealth left behind. But one of the things is that is very important if we are to really groom the next generation is to even start with conversations like this that start to support young people to connect dots. I'm living a life presently that looks like this, but this is the future I want. And how do I get there? So they come into spaces where we talk to men like Kazora, Frank, Professor Magichigozi. At your age, this is how I was living life, and this is what helped me. The common theme nowadays is finding a mentor. So I feel like for children who come to school and they really don't know what they want to do, they need to really be connected to spaces like these ones, where they listen to people who have lived a life that they are living right now. But most importantly, we need to also introduce our children very early in life that vision is one of the most important things. Having a vision at a very, trying to understand how you need to live your life. When you look at vision, it tends to be with the purpose. Vision is something that you want, the future you want to realize. So right now you might this conversation, but there is through the collective effort, the people you are bringing on your team, you want Golden Voice Africa to realize to create a certain future. So young people need to ask themselves very early questions, life questions, like who am I? The identity question, one of the most important. We are created by God, and when He releases us into the world, we are already a finished product. And we have purpose in us. What is important is to discover your vision. For instance, when I hold this phone, the mere fact that it has an Apple logo, it was tested in the factory by the manufacturer before it was released. And when it was released, I bought it on the market, but it is already a finished product. So actually, we never use new phones. We use things that have already been used in the factories. Are we together? So we need to realize that we already have purpose. What we need to focus on is discovering our vision. What do I want to do? How do I want to spend the rest of my life? And it is good that now we are having a conversation, and in the audience, there are people who have siblings. They are parents. So these are the kind of things that the children need to be exposed to at a very young age. They need to ask themselves, who am I? The identity question so much. Where am I from? The source. We tend to think we are really from, you ask someone, where here around Kampala, you meet someone and you ask someone, where are you from? And they say Uganda or Rwanda or Congo. But we need to really connect to our original source, where we come from and where we return. And we do things, we expose our children to do things during their time on earth. Another question is, why am I here? Why am I really here? These are the questions that can support young people to discover their vision and live a life of purpose, live a significant life. Why am I here? What am I supposed to do during my timeline? We have this crisis amongst young people. They are like, they need to go to parties, to clubs, and they say, life is short. Live, life is short. Then they go waste themselves drinking, and they're like, oh, no, I'm living life. I'm really enjoying because life is short. But really, why are you here is one of the most significant questions. And sometimes you need to connect to people who are already doing things that challenge you, so that you start to even question the things you are doing, the things you are spending most time doing. The things you spend most time doing are the things that translate to who you are. Then, what can I do? What is your potential? What can I do? Another crisis I think we are experiencing is very many young people, the boy child, despising the job. I have a degree. I can't be a mechanic. My dear, you need to evaluate that. I'm challenging you that you need to evaluate that. I think I'm one person who doesn't despise work. You give me work, I do it. So sometimes there are situations that will make you realize that you need to first put aside your degree and really ask yourself, what can I do during my time on earth? How significantly can I contribute to even your family, your siblings? Sometimes we spend a lot of time wanting to discover major things. Big, what we call big. He's a big person because he's doing this, something at scale. But sometimes we are called to minister to our siblings, to minister to our very family. First, take care of that. And then you can look at even the bigger things. Where am I going? Destiny. What are the things that you want to leave behind? The next 30 years as a boy child, as a young person, the next 70 years of your life. How are you going to be remembered? What is going to be written on your epitaph, as your epitaph? So I believe that such young people can be helped in that kind of way to discover significantly how they can live a life bigger than the wealth created by their parents. Because in one way or the other, there is a certain point where they are going to live their own life and they have to figure out things. Thank you very much.